Hey everyone, welcome to Broadband Deployment News. OpenVault has come out with their Broadband Insights report for last quarter, and they have had to create a new category for super user. Be right back. Thanks for joining me, Rick Uzzi here with Broadband Deployment News. So OpenVault does a Broadband Insights report regularly where they look at how broadband is changing as far as usage growth and usage trends. So I was trying to look at that when I get a chance. So I want to take a look at it today. So this is, and I linked to this is the press release about this. So you see 5 terabyte extreme power users pose new challenge to broadband networks. So you can read about that here. I'm not going to look at the press release. I want to look at actually some of the pages from the report. But you can see here they go through some summary things here, some of their highlights. And then here you can request a download of the report right there, which is what I did. So you can check that out. And what I wanted to do was go through and actually look at some of the pages that they've got in the report, the things that I just kind of want to highlight myself. So see here, this again is their, they call it the OVBI or OpenVault Broadband Insights report. And first here is where they're talking about this new category. You see the definition of the broadband power user, which has evolved over more than a dozen years, has changed again with the emergence of a new group of subscribers who consume 5 terabytes or more of data each month. So looking back here at 2010, your power user, and you can see he looks pretty weak. But back then, that was a big time user. If you were doing 250 gigabytes of transfer per month, you were a power user. But then in 2017, they came out with a new power user that was doing 1 terabyte per month. And then just a year later, super power user, 2018 at 2 terabytes per month. Now they have the extreme power user at 5 terabytes per month. This reminds me of the movie Spaceballs, where they had light speed, then they have ridiculous speed, and then you can go all the way up to ludicrous speed. Well, we have here our extreme power user, and maybe they're going to have to come out with an extreme super duper power user in the future. Or maybe they'll start rotating this stuff where we let this guy drop off the end of the chart here because he's just not relevant anymore, right? So anyway, the extreme power user right now defined 5 terabytes per month. And that's a lot of data transfer. So let's read through this a little bit. So in third quarter 2023 edition of the report, OpenVault research shows how the 5 terabyte extreme power user category is beginning to warrant heightened scrutiny, just as did the 250 or less than 250 gigabyte in 2010. That's actually greater than 250 gigabyte. And then greater than 1 terabyte in 2017, and the super power user category of 2 terabytes or more in 2018. Today's 5 terabyte extreme power users are streaming 13 times more data than users who consume 1 terabyte or less. We'll actually see that in a chart coming up here. So that's one of the things that's driving that usage. So OpenVault, they're a company that does broadband usage management. And so this report is being pulled from their customers basically now. I believe in the past, this has traditionally been cable operators only, and I think that's pretty much the case now. They do work with fiber operators, but I think this report and generally the vast majority of the subscribers that they are looking at are on cable networks. And I think they tend to be kind of skewed towards some of the larger cable networks as far as the percentage of subscribers that they have. So that's just something to take into account here, although a lot of the trends that you're seeing are going to be trends that you're seeing on fiber networks as well. There's just going to be a difference, let's say, on the upstream, because cable operators these days, a lot of the large operators that OpenVault would be working with are offering gig tiers or something close to a gig, but they're still well behind on the upstream compared to fiber operators. Now, as they get more into DOCSIS 4.0 deployments, you'll start to see some of them offer symmetrical plans and or certainly a lot more upstream. And they have been offering more upstream since the COVID pandemic. They've been doing high splits and mid splits to help them increase the amount of upstream data traffic that they're able, or bandwidth that they're able to offer their customers. So some of that has changed over time, and that would be driving some of the increases that we've seen. The pandemic obviously drove a lot of this. We saw big increases, especially on the upstream. Some of that settled down, but it didn't go back to where it was, and the upstream has stayed high as consumers have used more upstream traffic, and again as operators have increased the ability, certainly cable operators have increased the amount of upstream they can offer, again, through mid and high splits in order to address the concerns that were happening during the pandemic. Here you see median usage trends by billing type. So one of the things that OpenVault tracks is usage-based billing, which they kind of abbreviate as UBB here, and then flat rate billing, FRB. And the difference being flat rate would be where you've got a service provider that they basically give unlimited usage. And I think that would be across, that could be one plan or across plans where whatever plan you buy, you can use as much, eat as much as you can. Whereas usage-based billing is a provider that will give you a certain amount of usage in a plan. If you exceed that, I think really what they're tracking here is if you exceed that, then they would have a fee. Might be certain $10 per 50 gigabytes or something like that, where you've got a fee that you pay if you exceed that. But then also the other option that you would have, let's say with a lot of these providers that provide usage-based billing, is you can upgrade to the next tier, get a faster speed and get more usage. And maybe you get up to a gigabyte tier where they say, okay, if you're going to get the gigabyte tier, then you have unlimited usage. So that would be the difference there between flat rate billing and usage-based billing. So what we're looking at here, you see the colors represent the quarters. So you've got basically a year ago, third quarter 2022 is the dark blue. This past quarter, but the quarter before that is the orange. And then this last quarter, third quarter, is the blue here. So you've got your median weighted average, and then what we're looking at here is the fixed rate billing or flat rate billing, and then your usage-based billing. So something interesting that's happened that they were noting in the last report was that, I think it was the last report, that traditionally the flat rate or fixed rate billing guys were having the most usage because they were giving everybody, again, all they could eat. And therefore, that's the kind of provider that somebody who's doing a lot of usage might go ahead and get service from, especially if there was a competing usage-based provider in the area. They'd say, well, I'm going to go over here. So you traditionally saw more usage on those flat rate billing plans or operators. Well, that kind of switched up where now for these providers that are offering usage-based billing, they're actually seeing more usage. You can see that here again where we've got the quarters like this, and you can see this is fixed or flat rate billing. And in the quarter a year ago, that was actually exceeding what you were looking at. Let's see, I'm going to get confused here. So this is, let's see, the colors of the quarters, that's right. And then here we're looking at fixed rate billing, so flat rate billing. So you've got this figure right here let's see, this is, yeah, all right. So this is the usage-based billing. This is the flat rate billing. So this figure right here was exceeding the usage-based billing right there. So this was kind of what you were seeing and expecting, was the guys that could eat all they could get were using more. But then you see this next quarter, which was the quarter prior to this last quarter, you can see that bumped up. It actually reversed, and you saw quite a big increase here on the usage-based billing plans. Actually, people were using more, and that has continued here with this past quarter. Again, it's exceeding the usage-based billing models are exceeding the usage that were being done on flat rate billing. And you might be thinking, wow, maybe they should switch back to fixed rate billing. But there's a benefit here. It's something that the providers need to be aware of. They need to be aware of the fact that if they're going to give people an incentive, let's say, to upgrade their plan, then they will upgrade their plan. Now, that means more revenue for the operator. So a fixed rate provider, they could have more than one plan and people can eat as much as they want. And where those people tend to congregate around are the lower cost plans, because why would you go with a higher price plan? If you've got enough bandwidth, you're able to do what you want to do, and you're using a lot of data, there's no reason to purchase or to upgrade your plan. So there is a benefit here. And what's happening, I think, is that as these usage-based billing plans are in place, people are realizing, hey, I'm bumping up against my limit, and it could be that maybe the speed is an issue where they're seeing issues there, but also they're maybe seeing a charge. They're starting to see charges on their bill where it's like, okay, there's a $10 charge again because I'm going over my plan. So they can right-size the plan for the kind of activity that they're doing, the kind of content that they're looking at. And then that they're happier, and the service provider charges them a little bit more. They're getting more revenue for that. So that's a benefit there. So I think that's what we're seeing here, is that people are right-sizing their plans. And because of that, they're using more. And then also the other thing we're seeing here again is there has been a big increase in the amount of speed that cable operators specifically have been offering over the last couple of years, again with the pandemic, but they have been providing more customers with the availability of gigabit services. They've increased the upstream as much as they can right now with maybe, let's say, DOCSIS 3.1. So a lot of that plays into that as well. Here you're looking at the types of plans that people have, and you can see this has really increased over the last couple of years, where you've got pretty much an equal amount really on this gigabit plan versus, let's say, this other sweet spot here of 200 to 400 megabits per second, just about equal there at 33% approximately. What is that? That's 35, 33 roughly. Then you've got just under a gig, your 500 to 900. Down here, you've got 100 to 200. And then you get some lower kinds of plans here. Again, cable operators, some of them are still, they might be DOCSIS 3.0, some smaller DOCSIS 3.0 providers, or cable operators are still offering some of these lower speed plans where you've got less than 50 megabits per second. You've still got a sizable chunk in there. What is that? That's 6.4% that are on those really slower speeds. The percentage of subscribers on gigabit speed tiers held steady at 32.1% in the third quarter, building slightly on the all-time high observed last quarter, 31.6%, and more than doubling the percentage observed 1 year ago. So again, a lot of that has to do with the cable operators really increasing the speeds that they can offer. So a lot of people, some of it has to do with subscribers, again, upgrading themselves, saying, oh, I think I'm going to go to the higher plan because I'm using a lot more. But in some cases, this higher plan might not have been available a year or two ago because the cable operators have now made it available. The percentage of usage-based billing subscribers provisioned for 1 gig or higher speeds is 45.1%, 3.5 times more than the percentage of fixed-rate subscribers provisioned for the same speed. So interesting there. There could be a couple of different things. Again, a lot of times the fixed rate or flat rate subscribers will congregate around those lower cost tiers because there's no reason to upgrade a lot of times for them. There's not a penalty if they use a lot. Could also be that some of those operators, they don't have these. And one of the reasons that they offer fixed rate is because they maybe don't have a lot of higher speeds. Maybe fewer of them offer a gig plan. And when they do offer a gig plan, they may start to realize, I need to start having some usage limits on some of my lower speed plans because otherwise everybody's going to go get a gig and they're going to use everything. And so that could be part of it as well, as what they're offering. Then we have here fixed rate or flat rate billing operators have 9 times more subscribers, 13.5%, in the lowest ARPU speed tiers of 50 megabits per second or less compared to the usage-based billing operators. So again, people congregating here in this lower speed. It may be because, again, there's just not that many higher speeds to be offered at these operators. Or again, even if there are higher speeds, if they're all flat rate billing, then people are going to pay as little as possible for their broadband if they're not getting charged for usage and maybe their experience is fine as far as what they're doing. So that's kind of a case to be made for usage-based billing from the standpoint of providing tiers with more usage as people need it. And really that's what you're selling when you're a broadband operator. You're selling resources. So just like the water company, you don't have flat rate billing if you're providing water or power. People pay for what they're using. It's a little bit different because you're paying by kilowatt or by gallon of water here. We're not generally, these companies aren't charging. Some are. There's a few here and there that are charging by the bits, but in most cases, you're giving people a certain amount, and then if they exceed that, then you charge an overage, but they can upgrade to another package and get more, and it'd be more suited for them. And by the way, if you are interested in broadband management and how you can do this and how you can do usage-based billing, reach out to us. We can help with that. We actually can, through a partner, can provide services for you that can do that. So if you would just go ahead and give us a call, send an email, and we'd be happy to talk to you. So thanks for doing that if that is of interest. So let's see what else we have here. We've got average upstream data usage by extreme power users is almost 1 terabyte on average, 5.5 times the amount of upstream data consumed by 2 terabytes by the 2 terabyte superpower users, and 12 times that of 1 terabyte power users. So you can see here the huge difference as you go from the 2 to 5 terabytes to the 5 terabytes. Again, almost 5.5 times the amount of upstream consumed. So a lot of this, again, would have to do, and these I think we're talking about here primarily, if not exclusively, cable operators. I don't know if OpenVault has started including some of the fiber in here, but again, cable operators have really increased the amount of data transfer available on the upstream as they've had to do that to, again, to keep pace with what was going on during the pandemic, mid and high splits. And as some of these larger providers move to DOCSIS 4.0, they're doing even higher splits, extended spectrum DOCSIS that they're doing there to get even higher splits to be able to offer even more on the upstream. And eventually with DOCSIS 4.0, they say you'd be able to do maybe a 6 gig by 6 gig symmetrical service on cable, on HFC. Now, it's going to be a while probably before we see that, but that will be possible. So you're going to be seeing some of these numbers climb over time, even on the DOCSIS side. Speed tier by subscriber type. You've got the majority of extreme power users, 59%, are provisioned at gig speed tiers. Nearly twice the percentage of average users, 32%. So as you would expect, those that are extreme power users, they have the gig plans. And that's something that every service provider needs to be aware of, is that everybody was like, hey, let's offer gig to be competitive with fiber if they come in, or if they're there already. We're talking about let's say a DOCSIS provider, or we've got everybody on a half a gig. Let's just upgrade them to a gig. Let's be kind and do that. Well, you can do that, and you may need to do that to keep pace. But just be aware that as you upgrade those folks, even if they don't necessarily change their own personal habits, then you will start to see more usage, because Netflix will start eating more if it can. Maybe other kinds of, maybe video cameras that normally transmit, around the house, that kind of thing, will maybe start using more if it's available. And of course, there's just changes in how people are using the internet. That's going to make a difference. But I think, a lot of times it happens to be that if you build it, they will come, and the applications will take advantage of it sometimes. So you see some of that as you start to go to these gig plans, something to be aware of. Applications driving data traffic. This I thought was really striking here. So you can see the different types of users here. You've got your extreme power users right there, 5 terabytes plus. Then you've got your 2 to 5 users, your 1 to 2 users, and then your guys that are not doing that much, less than 100 gig here. So you can see there's not much difference in a lot of these other things as far as, let's say, file transfers, social media. It's interesting that some of these stick out here in the middle. In general, it's kind of ramping up like this, but not that much difference, let's say, for gaming. But once you hit the streaming, it ramps up. But you see a really big jump here on these guys. So these are the folks, again, that are using the most data, and a lot of it, a big percentage of it, obviously, is streaming. So that's just something to be aware of, again, is as a cable operator, or really a fiber operator, anybody, as people start cutting the video cord and start doing things over the top, whether that's an IPTV offering or an over-the-top offering like a Netflix or a Hulu or something like that. All of that data that used to be on, let's say, a QAM-based video network is now suddenly on the broadband network. So you're seeing big jumps like this, and on these extreme power users, you can see a lot of that is taking place here with the streaming. And it basically, this kind of ramps up based on what you might expect, as you've got people that are using more, they're going to be higher, and people that are using less or a little less higher. So, but you do see, again, this really sharp ramp up here for streaming compared to, let's say, gaming, social media. Obviously, some of this is going to be video kinds of, probably short form video stuff. File transfers, you're going to see the ability to do a little bit more of that there on these, with these extreme high power users transferring files. And sometimes, it's interesting with something like, Microsoft, what are we on now? 11. It will really try to get you to back up your files. Whenever you put something in your documents, you're actually not putting it on your PC, but or maybe you do for a short period of time, and then it gets backed up to the cloud, or maybe it doesn't even go on your PC, it just goes directly to the cloud. So that's something that operators need to be aware of as well. Is that, when there's a change like that with something like Microsoft Windows, suddenly you see OneDrive usage spiking up because people get new PCs and they don't realize that they have everything selected to back up to OneDrive. Maybe they do when they get a message from OneDrive that says, hey, your drive is full. Do you want to buy more storage? So that's just something to be aware of, again, as a service provider, to be seeing these different applications that, again, will take advantage of the data that you are providing. And then here they've got kind of a summary of what's been going on this third quarter. And they've been seeing an increase over time pretty consistently on broadband usage growth. And this past quarter, they had 550 approximately gigabytes total up and down, average bandwidth usage. 514 downstream average usage, 35.9 gigabytes upstream. And you're going to see a pretty significant difference here in general, even on fiber, because people just do less going upstream. There are some applications that, like what I'm doing right now, I am video streaming out of my network, but most of the time we're consuming data. We're not producing data in bits. Just little requests here and there as we request a web page, or again, something like this or a Zoom call. That's going to involve some upstream, but a lot of it's downstream. So this is not surprising. But again, this is primarily cable operators, and we really see that here. We've got the average downstream speed at 498, just about a half a gig there, and then 28 megabits per second up. So again, this shows that this is, if not exclusively, certainly very heavily weighted on the cable operator side, where upstreams are going to be much slower right now until they, again, can do some higher splits, DOCSIS 3.1, DOCSIS 4.0, and start to get closer to symmetrical. If this was strictly fiber, we'd see, I think, that these speeds would be much closer to what you would expect, because most fiber operators are offering symmetrical kinds of services, whether that's 100 meg symmetrical or a gig symmetrical. They don't really have a reason to have the the upstream slower than the downstream, and it's a marketing advantage for them to say, hey, we have symmetrical service. It's not necessarily needed, but when you see, if you see 100 meg by 100 meg, and then you see, let's say, 100 meg by 20 meg from the cable operator, you go, wow, that is a difference. But gig symmetrical, nobody really needs a gig upstream right now. I say nobody. I mean, if there may be somebody out there, obviously there may be some applications out there, or, larger companies, those kinds of things. But individuals, a gig symmetrical, you don't really need that gig upstream. It's nice to know you got it. And when you're uploading files, you just took a bunch of pictures of your kids or something at Christmas, and you've got 500 pictures on your digital camera, and you want to put them all up on Google Drive or something so you can look at them and decide what you want to use. Yeah, it's nice to know when you click that button that you start to see those things go up there. So there are those times when that speed is nice to have. So anyway, so again, OpenVault doing a nice job here. Lots of good information in there, so you can go, again, in the description of this video, you can find the press release, and there's a link in there where you can download that and get all of the information from OpenVault on what they've observed. And again, we would love to help you with this. So give us a call. You can see our email address, and it really will help you as a service provider if you can provide a incentive for people to upgrade their plans, and then also, really more importantly, is to be able to manage that traffic in such a way so that everybody's experience is better. Because a lot of times, broadband operators hear about, well, I don't want to throttle my customers. That's bad. I don't want to do that. I don't want to sit there and I don't want to punish some customers. I'm going to lose customers if I do that. But in general, if you are, like some of these, especially these operators that have this flat rate billing, it's very possible that their customers are not happy because everybody can use as much as they want. Nobody's getting charged for that, and the operator's trying to have enough bandwidth for everybody, and they don't have any controls on that. They don't have any kind of pricing on that. But there are bandwidth management tools that will help you actually manage that in such a way where it's net neutral. You don't need to worry about net neutrality rules or anything there. You're actually just managing your traffic based on when you need to manage it. I mean, if your pipe is wide open in the middle of the night and somebody comes on there and they're doing all kinds of transfers, and you don't care, as long as everybody's happy, you don't care. That person's happy, everybody's happy. But on a really congested period during your prime times, if you've got a user that's using lots of, let's say you've got one user that's using lots of data at that time, you don't want that person to ruin the experience for everybody. That person's not going to be happy, and everybody else isn't going to be happy. So what you do is you just manage that so that that person is still getting reasonable service and everybody else gets a boost, and then everybody's happy. So you're looking to improve your revenue, and you're also looking to provide a better user experience for everybody. So that is possible with broadband management tools today. So give us a call, send me an email on that info@zacorm.com, and we'll be happy to start a discussion and talk to you about that. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it. And if this was interesting, helpful, if you learned something, if you give me a like on the video, I'd appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to our channel, click the subscribe button, ring the bell, and you'll be notified when I'm live. Thanks a lot. See you next time. Bye-bye.